Airbnb, head of global policy and public affairs, said in a presentation at last month's Airbnb Open Conference in LA, said that it had agreements with more than 200 cities, including LA, Philadelphia and Washington, to collect occupancy taxes on behalf of its hosts. So Airbnb can't keep out the news, but it's such a big company now, such a big website. I'm sure that eventually the local cities and Airbnb and all the hosts will work something out and you'll be able to still use it wherever you like in the world. If you're totally against the idea of Airbnb, it would be good to hear your opinion. Just post it at facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show.
Hello, it's Roy. Yeah, we're on the ferry. We should be in Spain tomorrow afternoon.
Well, be careful. Lots of crooks on the roads out here.
Crooks? You know where I grew up.
This is different. They target British registered vehicles.
Yeah, they used to do that round my way.
I'm serious. They'll tell you there's something wrong with your car, so you pull over, then they rob you. Or they distract you at a motorway stop. They target hire cars, too.
Hire cars?
Yeah, well, they're driven by tourists.
Oh, OK, I'll watch out.
Good. So, looking forward to the drive down?
Yeah, well, I was.
Thieves in Spain have been targeting hire cars and UK-registered vehicles, so be extra careful on the roads. For details, visit gov.uk and search for Living in Spain.
Checking it out before you check in on the John Guinn Travel Show on ukhealthradio.com. You're listening to The Travel Show with John Guinn on ukhealthradio.com. The music I just played was the very first thing I played on The Travel Show. It's called Sunshine on Charlotte, and even now, 4.5 years later, 200 shows later, I still feel a bit nervous when I hear that music start up, although I haven't used it for an awful long time. Listener feedback, it soon got changed. But who knows, maybe one day I'll bring it back. Continuing with the travel news and travel advice over in this 200th travel show. And the Department for Transport is reforming penalty fares on trains to help better protect rail passengers. And I'm sure if you've been on a train, you have seen people being stopped by ticket inspectors and being fined. Sometimes you feel that they do deserve it, and sometimes you feel awfully sorry for the person who's getting the ticket. But anyway, penalty fare appeals bodies must, according to the Department for Transport, be completely independent of the train operating companies and their financial owners. Changes to the way rail companies operate their penalty fare appeals processes will be imposed by the Department for Transport, and this is in order to safeguard passengers while giving ministers clearer oversight of the system. The DFT has announced that it wants to make sure penalty fare appeals bodies are completely independent of the train operating companies and, as I said, the financial owners. Did you spot me turning the page over then? I bet you didn't. Anyway, confidence in the penalty fares appeal system is to be further boosted by the introduction of an independent appeals panel to head up a new third stage to the appeals process. Rail Minister Paul Maynard said fare dodgers cost the railways £240 million every year, and this bill is picked up by the honest passengers in the form of higher rail fares. Penalty fares are imposed to deter those seeking a free ride, but mistakes do happen, and where a passenger feels they have been unfairly treated, they need to be confident that there is a robust and independent process in place to deal with their appeal. The new rules, which will go through Parliament next year, are in response to a public consultation on the issues raised by Transport Focus in their report Ticket to Ride, which call for more passenger-friendly deadlines for appeals and payments, compulsory annual audits of the penalty fares data, and an end to unnecessary threats of criminal action when sending out reminder letters. The main changes are simpler rules on deadlines for payment and appeals. Passengers who are charged a penalty fare will be able to access a new third stage independent appeals panel. Penalty fares appeal bodies, as I said, must be independent of the train operators and their owners. And there's going to be stronger Department for Transport oversight in the appeals process through an annual audit of the penalty fares data. The department has also promised to work with the rail industry to make sure passengers and staff understand how the penalty fares regime works to avoid warnings of criminal sanctions being made inappropriately. Perhaps you're one of these people who's been caught out. My wife travels on the train every day and she's always had a ticket, but sometimes because the trains are all messed up, you have to try and get home somehow. And there's always a worry that the train company you're using won't be that accommodating for the fact that your company that you bought the ticket through have decided not to have any trains for whatever reason. It's always fine, but there's always that worry in the back of the head because it will be very embarrassing to be called out in front of people and be charged a penalty ticket. If you've had a penalty train ticket and it's not been your fault and it's been a complete misunderstanding, please, if you feel brave enough, share your story with us at facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. Let us know how the situation happened, how you felt you were treated, and what the outcome was if you appealed. Back onto flying again, and you may remember Monarch, the company that might have collapsed a few months ago. Well, it's been allowed to stop offering Atol cover on its flight-only bookings from the UK. This was the problem. It had to be able to prove that it could do Atol bookings. This protection ensures that passengers get a refund if an airline goes bust and are repatriated free of charge if the firm collapses while they're abroad. This move will make Monarch flights slightly cheaper in a very competitive market. Well, for a start, there won't be the £2.50 per person Atol fee. But package holidays sold by the airline will continue to be covered by Atol. Monarch were fairly unique, probably unique. I can't think of any other airline that had Atol cover for their flights. Most of the airlines said no, they can't do it. But Monarch decided they would, but not for any longer. So again, Never assume you're covered when you buy a flight. Always look at the small print. Always understand how you are protected if you are at all. And to be honest, most of the time it's probably by your credit card. So as I always say, if you're happy with the way you're going to be looked after if something goes wrong, make the booking. If you're not happy, go somewhere else. Pay a little bit more if need be. But there's no point going cheap and losing lots. Anyway, I'm digressing. When Monarch's licence came up for renewal back in September, the Civil Aviation Authority was so concerned that the airline might fail to meet the requirements, it set up a shadow airline which chartered jets in place in case they needed to bring passengers home in the event of a collapse. There's a lot of talk around the travel industry about these mystery jets showing up at places they weren't expected. And the CAA, as far as I can remember, didn't really say yes, it was down to them. In a statement, Monarch said, no other UK scheduled airline Atol protects flight-only bookings. Over 2 years of being the exception, Monarch is now the norm. As well as this, the airline is also dropping credit card charges, which can be as much as 3%. Jet2 also has a zero surcharge policy for credit cards, and other airlines charge from 1 to 3%. BA charges 1, I believe, up to a maximum of £20. Flybe charge 3%, and they have a minimum fee of £5, I believe, but you do need to check with the airline when you make the bookings. So always shop around if you can, because not only are you looking for protection, you're looking for peace of mind, and you're also looking for the best deal. You can follow me on Twitter at holiday_hut. Earlier I talked about airport security, the tips from Manchester Airport, and that you should really prepare, especially during the festive time, because it does get busy and you will be upsetting people behind you if you're not ready when it comes to the security search. But anyway, an actor who played a big part in the movies when I was a teenager, it seemed to be in every not that taxing to watch film comedy that was on at the time, a Judge Reinhold, he's been arrested after refusing airport security search. This was at Dallas Love Field Airport in the USA. The 59-year-old actor was led away from police and taken to a detention centre where they charged him with disorderly conduct. Disorderly conduct. No, I haven't been drinking. Not yet. TV station KCOW9 reported that the actor took off his shirt and used explicit language during the incident. The TSA, Transportation Security Administration agents, had asked the actor to submit to a pat-down after setting off an alarm. He was offered a private room and he declined. His attorney said that the TSA scanner had cleared the actor to pass, but he was stopped when his bag set off an alarm. Agents then asked to frisk him, and he wanted to know why, given that he had already walked through the scanner without it going off. Accompanied by the police, the handcuffed Reinhold told reporters, "Thanks to the exposure, guys. Appreciate it. Glad you're all here." A few weeks ago, I've had a couple of guests on the show who were talking about surcharges because of the plummet of the pound. And Prestige Holiday says they weren't going to do it, and Cycling for Softies said they don't do it either. But there are companies that have been doing it. If you go on to ABTA, there is a list of companies. To be honest, I've not heard of them, who are now increasing prices for holidays that have already been booked and paid for. And a company that is not a member of ABTA has now done it as well. And it's Mark Warner. The company is reported to be levying a surcharge of between £30 and £50 per person for ski holidays this winter. Mark Warner's operating director David Hopkins wrote to clients confirming the surcharge, and this was reported in the Mail on Sunday. He said, "It will be necessary and unavoidable for us for the first time in many years to invoke the surcharge clause contained within our contractual terms and conditions." A customer disclosed the surcharge on the holiday to Maribel in January, despite the same holiday being found on the company's website for £859 per person for new customers. So it looks like somebody's been charged, but they're still offering the price which the customer paid for. I didn't see the report in the Mail on Sunday. I'm looking at a third-hand report of it. A company spokesman for Mark Warner says, "We have no further comment to make on surcharging other than confirm that this is reflected